Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that will focus on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Friday morning, progressives, and welcome to the January 17th, 2025 edition of Choose Views, 773-763-9278, Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, YouTube, Twitter Stream, and iHeartRadio. Email me at richard@WCPT820.com. And I definitely am trying to keep up with the emails. They've been coming in steadily. You guys know you can text the show as well at 773-763-9278. But definitely give us a call. We want to chat with you today and catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. There you can get Choose Views along in the short version. Join us, Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive. And of course, Patty Vasquez, driving you home, taking you on the road, all that good stuff. The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Out Chicago, and our other shows and interviews. Check out our heartlandsignal.com digital platform and share the good stuff that we have there. Busy day today. In the 7 o'clock hour, we'll be hanging with our good friend Karen Byrne from True Blue Politics podcast. And then at 7:30, Representative Abdul Nasser Rashid from the 21st District in Illinois will be with us to talk about some current legislation and work that he's really leaned into. That although we'll talk about it, but it's an important issue, and we'll get into that when he's with us later in the show. And most definitely today between 2 to 5, Joan Esposito will be here taking your calls, talking with Ed Yonka of the ACLU of Illinois, Jeet here. National Affairs correspondent for The Nation and host of The Nation's weekly podcast, The Time Monsters. Plus, she'll be giving away tickets for the Capitol Fools show February 1st at the North Shore Center for Performing Arts, and a stream code for Stephanie Miller's Sexy Liberal Save the World comedy tour pay-per-view inauguration special. Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive, weekdays 2 to 5 p.m. here on WCPT 820. And then tonight, Patty is back after a day off and will be joined by guest co-host Ben Kamenos, host of Outside the Box on WHBY Radio in Appleton. They'll be giving a stream code for Stephanie Miller's Sexy Liberal Save the World comedy tour pay-per-view inauguration special as well. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7 p.m. Central on WCPT 820. Always great to ride with our WCPT progressive lineup. Of course, the Stephanie Miller Show following me, and that's my radio sister on the West Coast, sending you guys good vibes. Tom Hartman, the professor of everything progressive, Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive, and again, my good friend Patty Vasquez, my bookend, Driving You Home. So stay tuned for all of our shows here. Make sure you're supporting the work that those great hosts are putting forward. And just a reminder, as always, of the Choose Views podcast, where you can get lots of good interviews that we've had and people that we've talked to. Speaking of the Sexy Liberal tour, as we've said throughout the week, and each of us have been trying to do what we can to help make sure that you can see Stephanie Miller's Sexy Liberal comedy tour from the Warner Theater in Washington, D.C., live on pay-per-view from the comfort of your own home this weekend. Join Stephanie Miller along with guests Representative Jamie Raskin, George Conway, Olivia Troy, JoJo from Jers, and Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn, along with the regulars, Hal Sparks, John Fugelsang, and Frangela on Saturday night. We need comedy, most definitely, and resistance more than ever for these next 4 years. And if you want to watch Stephanie from home, we have live stream links, not tickets to the show. WCPT is definitely trying to help out in that space, and you can get. We're gonna give away a one this hour. Henry, is that how we're gonna do it? Yeah. All right, great. So you can. Our contest is running through the show today. Joan will be doing the same thing, as will Patty, and open to listeners 18 or older and residents of the greater Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana area. One entry per person. one winner per household void where prohibited by law, and listeners may only win or qualify to win once every 30 days. Complete rules are available on our WCPT website on WCPT.com by clicking on the contest tab. Got to read through all that those legalese, guys. So thanks for hanging with us. And so we're going to give away to the third caller. Let's do 3. All right, we're going to start with the third caller. We're going to do it again in the second hour, so just to let you guys know that's where we are. So third caller, we're going to hook you up. There you go. So that's how we'll put it out there. Let's see. Inflation, talking about Choose Views News. Guys, I hit you with this before we go to the break. Inflation has slowed down a little bit more than expected in December. Excluding volatile items, the U.S. Consumer Price Index rose 3.2% from a year earlier, a slower pace than in November. And the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics has reported that overall prices rose 0.04% in December from November and 2.9% from a year earlier, as expected. The reading follows one for wholesale prices, which showed slightly slower inflation last month. Cooling price growth could revive the case for interest rate cuts in coming months. So that's good news. That's good news for all of us. Inflation data did also ignite a little bit of a stock rally through the middle of this week. Sparking optimism that the Federal Reserve will stay on track to cut the interest rates, as we talked about. All 3 major stock indices soared, with the NASDAQ recording the biggest gain. Bank stocks advanced after Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and Citigroup, guys, reported stronger than ever earnings. So there we go. I know some of you guys want to keep aware and abreast of what's happening there. Israel, Hamas deal moved in the right direction, had a little bit of a break. But apparently, and this is, we reported as quickly and as accurately and timely as we can, they reached a deal to pause the fighting in Gaza in exchange for the release of hostages. And the White House has confirmed, although the details continue to be worked out. The Prime Minister Netanyahu said the agreement will be implemented in 3 phases, starting with the release of 33 hostages captured when Hamas attacked Israel on October 7, 2023, in exchange for hundreds of imprisoned Palestinians. It requires approval from Israel's cabinet and follows months of failed attempts to end the 15-month war. So hopefully, I know this kind of moved back and forth over the last day and a half, 2 days. Hopefully this will stick, and they'll be able to, as I like to say, get to the table and get it done. The SEC is suing Elon Musk over the Twitter deal. You guys may have seen or heard about this. They filed a lawsuit accusing the entrepreneur of securities violations related to the 2022 acquisition of Twitter X. According to the suit, Musk failed to properly disclose his stock position in Twitter prior to the purchase, allowing him to continue buying shares at artificially low prices. Last month, Musk claimed that the SEC sent him a settlement offer to avoid a lawsuit. Well, we'll see what happens with that suit continuing. TikTok is planning to go dark on Sunday. It's preparing to shut down the U.S. version of the app Sunday, the day a law mandating its divestiture or removal from American app stores goes into effect. Unless the Supreme Court intervenes, users who open TikTok will see a message linking to information about the ban. Until now, the presumption has been that existing users might still have access to TikTok until it degraded beyond usability. So we'll see what happens on Sunday and thereafter. And the FDA is banning red dye number 3 in food and drinks after finding it can cause cancer in lab animals. The dye found in candy, milkshakes, and cereal may also affect children's behavior. Many consumer groups and lawmakers have long pushed for the ban. Food manufacturers must update their products by January 2027. Red dye number 3 is already banned and restricted in Australia, Japan, and some EU countries. Also, there's investors that are questioning the DEI positions of Walmart. In a letter to Walmart CEO Doug McMillon, Shareholders representing $266 billion in assets expressed, quote, deep disappointment and demanded to know the business case behind the retailer's decision to scrap its diversity initiatives. And as you know, I reported earlier this week, our Attorney General here in Illinois, Kwame Raoul, is leaning in with other attorneys generals throughout the country in this similar effort. So we'll see what's happening here. And, of course, Walmart had announced back in November it would no longer consider race and gender for supplier contracts, joining a number of companies who have made similar policy changes. So one thing that Trump's not going to be able to do or protect these companies from is a state's attorneys generals filing suits, banding together, and also when shareholders say we don't like that kind of decision. So this is where we have our power, and we have to remember that. There's a new league that's brewing, Henry, to compete against a challenging NBA. A group of investors advised by LeBron James's business partner, Maverick Carter, is looking to raise $5 billion to launch a new professional basketball league, according to Bloomberg. The league will feature 6 men's and 6 women's teams. Not a bad idea, with games in 8 global cities, aiming to capture a share of the NBA's $138 billion market. Of course, it faces stiff competition from established leagues, including the NBA and the WNBA. But it's good to see that that's happening. And in my mind, let's just be honest, people have said, "Hey, Richard, we need an Elon Musk. We need a Peter." No, we don't need them. What we have to realize is we already have them. Them is us. Them is taking the position that these guys, with regard to the NBA or a league to challenge the NBA, are doing. We challenge them by creating our own. We have the people to do our own, to build our own. We need to galvanize, and I'm behind the scenes working on something that I'm gonna reveal to you guys probably in the next 30 days that I'm putting together that will hopefully galvanize this conversation. And I'm teasing you just a little bit, but I'm working on something that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. But kudos to the folks who say let's take what we have and build our own. I had a conversation yesterday with one of our executive producers here, Andy Miles, about the importance, and with Mark Pensky, the importance of leftovers. And my mother, you guys have heard me say this before, my mother was a big advocate of leftovers, because with leftovers you can make a great meal. So I'll talk a little bit about that in after the break. But it's Friday. I want to give kudos out, as always, to the engineers and all of our people here at CPT that keep us moving forward. We've got a great team of folks. Not only, me, Joan, and Patty can't do what we do without the folks that we have, like Henry and like Alex and like Lady B and like Matt and Mark and Andy and Mike. And of course, can't leave out my man Devin and Paul, all the folks that are here that just keep us moving. And hopefully I didn't miss anybody. If I did, arms around those that I have. We have a great staff here. We have a great team. And I want to make a point of saying that this morning, because it's Friday. And we talk good. As much as we lean in, we have to remind ourselves of who keeps us solid. And so kudos to the WCPT team. All right, y'all, let's take a quick break. 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we will be right back.
It's Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. So listen, guys, guess what? It's Friday. So, we have a few things we want to make sure that, you get to do. And let's see. Let's take a quick hot second, guys. I've got this queued up. Where'd it go? Stop it. All right, real quickly, guys. It is MLK weekend, and we always want to give the shout out to the late Dr. King. Here are a few things that are King-centric here in Chicago, particularly Black Creativity Family Day at the Griffith Museum. of Science and Industry. Those events are taking place this weekend, so make your way there to the Griffith Museum of Science and Industry, and that'll be, I think, kind of a good experience for those who want to take part in that. That's at 5700 South DuSable, or Lakeshore Drive, as it were. Also, it's a family event, the Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Obviously, that's focusing on focused at the Chicago History Museum at 1601 North Clark, so you can make your way up there, and that's always a great museum to go to. If you're in Chicago, whether you're coming in from the suburbs or you're coming in from out of town, further out of town, that's a place you can always go to. Is the Chicago Historical Museum, or I call it the Historical Society. That's what it used to be called. It's the Chicago History Museum, 1601 North Clark. Put that on your calendar. No matter what weekend you would come into Chicago, that's a place to go. If you can take some time, skip the bars and go there. It's really a great experience because it speaks to the history of Chicago, but it speaks also to the history of the Midwest and the development of this upper part of the Midwest. So make your way over there at any time. Let's see. In Hyde Park, MLK Day, we'll be celebrating some great events at the Hyde Park Arts Center, 5020 South Cornell. That's going to be on Monday. And then also get out and skate at the Maggie Daly Ice Skating rink. That's always a good thing to do. We got our Puppet Festival going on, as usual. And one of the other things the Infinity Wrench. Don't miss the longest running late night show in Chicago, the Infinity Wrench. You'll see 30 original plays in 60 minutes. How about that? You got to be quick. It's got to be happening. It's 5153 North Ashland at the Neo Futurist Theater. That's something you can make your way up to check out. But anyhow, guys, it's Friday. Just want to give you guys some fun things to do and enjoy while you're in and around the city. It's going to be a little bit warmer today, tomorrow, and Sunday than it has been the last 3 or 4 days. So try to get yourself out of the house and do some things that are a little bit different in and around Chicago. Okay, so a question that I asked you guys as we ended the show yesterday, and I'll ask it again this morning. What are you going to do on Inauguration Day or King Day, as it were? And I'm curious. I've seen many people on social media, on Twitter X, which I'm on Threads, which I'm on, and Blue Sky, which I'm on. And just a variety of different things that I just pay attention to, where people have said they're not going to watch the inauguration. They're not going to be plugged in at all in that space. They're going to, be watching other things. If they get anything that's about the inauguration, they're going to turn away and they're not going to give it any attention. And I see the value in that. I mean, I'm not going to watch it. And it's most definitely, we're going to have a live broadcast and we're going to be doing our shows, but, and I'll probably talk about it in general, but not going to focus on it. And I want to talk about something that has been a conversation the last, few days. And I mentioned it a little bit yesterday, about Michelle Obama not attending. First of all, it's her doggone right to not attend anything she doesn't want to attend. Let's start there. Let's just start there. But what I want to lean into on this is, I'm making my notes and thinking about this yesterday and saying, it's really the phrase that people use a lot. It's really rich or whatever, but I just think it's flat out privileged to see, and y'all, walk with me on this or not. But the people that are making the biggest issue about Mrs. Obama not showing up don't look like her. Okay. So that's my code for it. They're not black women that are running around saying, Michelle Obama, how dare you not show up and kiss the knee, bend the knee and kiss the ring of our president, our Donald Trump, our God. How dare you black woman, not do that? And how dare you? This is the other reason why I'm saying it the way I'm saying it. And you all who are trolls that got an issue with it, go kick rocks. Michelle Obama and Vice President Harris are the only people that have been sort of chastised by the pseudo media and folks over at Fox and other people in other venues for not showing up for her deciding not to attend, one, Mrs. Obama, two, Vice President Harris, for not giving J.D. Vance a tour. Y'all didn't say a damn thing about Karen Pence not standing up at Jimmy Carter's funeral on the right. Y'all didn't say nothing about that. She didn't need to stand up. I don't blame her. I'm not down with some of her positions, but you come after my spouse, I ain't standing up to shake your hand. And at least I can say this about Mrs. Pence that we know of. She ain't stripped and posed naked for magazines. And then, and I'm talking about, yes, Melania Trump, for those of you who love her and say she's the greatest first lady. Yeah, I'm going there. You can darn well, I'm driving a truck through there. At least Mrs. Pence didn't, defile herself in that way that we know of. But the folks on the right, nothing about her. I agree with her, but I don't see anything coming from the media, the right, the trolls. Karen Pence, how dare she not shake Melania's hand? See, that's when you know that there's some doo-doo in the game. But y'all losing your damn minds over the fact that Mrs. Obama isn't going to go to the inauguration and that Vice President Harris didn't say, come on, JD, let me show you around. Y'all can kick rocks in that space. You truly can with sandals on. I'm not playing. I'm dead serious. You don't have to kiss somebody's behind just because of the quote-unquote decorum, which is why I'm also, listen, George W. Bush, got some issues with him. But I'm happy to see that these three former presidents, Clinton, Bush, and Obama, did not attend Donald Trump's inaugural luncheon. I'm glad they didn't show up. I got issues with Bush. I got issues with Clinton and Obama for different reasons. Because that's what we should. We should, challenge them. But even with Bush and all the garbage that we know about what happened with, Iraq and Afghanistan, he isn't saying to the LGBTQ community, we're coming after you. He isn't saying to, and then listen, I could laundry list policies that look, we know where we are in that space. I don't need to do that this morning. But at least, and I'm upset that he didn't come out and endorse Vice President Harris full-throated. All of that. But the fact that he said, I'm not going to this luncheon for this dude, and partnered with Bill and with Barack, I can get behind that. Okay? And that's their call. But those who are saying, hey, Michelle, come on, what's wrong, black woman? Why aren't you? And listen, Laura Ingraham and Megyn Kelly, my mother would not be happy with the thoughts that are going through my head, but my mother would be happy that I didn't let them come out of my mouth. Let me put it to you that way. Because I know there's a lot of you all who want to say what I'm thinking, even though you're not in my brain going, what is Richard thinking? Just be honest with yourself. That's all. Just be honest. You know you're thinking the same thing I am. You could be a white suburban woman in any city in the country, and you're thinking the same thing. It's like, first of all, as a woman, don't tell me where I got to be. So that covers all of my sisters of all communities, of all cultures. It's not just a black thing in that space. Don't be telling a woman, guys, that you can't go, that you have to go and do X, Y, and Z. Let's start there for the men that are running their mouths in that space. But for the women who are making it more personal, like Megyn Kelly and Laura Ingraham are doing, yeah, go kick rocks with sandals on. That's how I see that. So I'm proud of the folks that are saying we aren't going, we're not doing this. At least somebody's saying we're not going to kiss the ring in that regard. So kudos to them for being able to do that. And, it may seem like a small thing, but it's really a symptom of, it's one of the small seeds of the bigger thing of yielding to the BS and the garbage. You got to start somewhere. So Guys, we're going to take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. When we come back, we'll grab some calls. We'll keep it moving. We'll be right back.
It's Chew's View with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Hey, guys, welcome back to Chew's View, 773-763-9278. So, yeah, I'm glad that they're saying, nope, we're not going and we're not doing this, and they're standing to the extent on those items that they can and should when it comes to we're not kissing the ring. Those things have to happen. And I'm happy to see that. So, listen, one of the things, too, that is a topic of conversation right now is this whole release the reports conversation. And, you know, I think that the Dems are can lean in hard as hell. They should be banging the drum. Henry, this is kind of how I would like to see the Dems approach this, release the reports today and 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now, irrespective of Donald Trump being in the White House. I think that the Dems in Congress, state Dems throughout the country, should be banging the drum, beating the floor every day, sending a message out that says release the reports on the classified documents theft, on what happened with the phone call in Atlanta. Every single day, they should be asking, they should be demanding that they get released, irrespective, and I'm going to pivot to something in a moment, irrespective of who the new director of, who the new attorney general is, the director of the FBI, and national intelligence. They should be sending letters. Just sit down and type out just a boilerplate letter from every single member of the Democratic of the House and every senator. Just have a boilerplate letter and piss off the heads of those three departments. You know, starting with the AG's office and then that organizational chart. Boilerplate letters. I mean, what do they have to lose? They were elected by their constituents in their districts and in their states. So have a boilerplate letter ready to go, and every day put that bad boy on an email or a regular physical letter and just send it to the AG's office, send it to the FBI director's office, and send it to the director of national intelligence's office and national security every day, and let it be known by the American people. We want these reports released. Well, who's it going to? If it offends somebody, that's probably a good thing. So I'm going to be saying this a lot in the weeks to come, in the months and the years to come, God willing. Democrats, you got to fight differently. You got to, the direct approach, the angled approach, the side approach, and the rear flank approach. They got to do and a top approach and from the ground, all different directions. They got to pretend like they're driving a car and they're looking and making sure that traffic's clear in all directions. That's how they have to attack the GOP, in my humble opinion, right now. And when I was looking at this and putting some notes together regarding the Jack Smith reports on the classified documents theft, as well as any of the other cases that were brought, they should be requesting the release of that information every single day. And when it comes to fighting the Republicans, stop waiting for the garbage to come to them. And I said this early in the week. I've said it before. I said it when I was talking with Dana Goldberg. We got to be in the position where we have our dukes up, not waiting for the punch to come and then fighting back. No, we need to start throwing punches. And I'm not going to make the mistake I made a few months ago referring to them as haymakers. I'm just going to call it as it is. We need to combination of rope-a-dope and throw punches at the same time. So how about that? I had a couple of family members and a couple of friends like, Chew, don't you know what a haymaker is? And I was like, all right, y'all got me on that one. But this time, no, rope-a-dope and throw punches. That's how we have to be. Listen, I know there's folks that have said that say and have said to me personally, and other ways, they said, Rich, we can't piss them off. We can't say, and I get that. I do truly get that. But that's not how we have to play right now. And I'll say this as respectfully as I can. If people come after me, the keyboard warriors, but rarely does someone call in and come after me on the phone. I welcome it because I'm going to do one of two or three things. First, I'm going to listen, and I'm going to compliment them if they make a good point or something that we need to think about. And then, but if they come at us with some garbage, I'm going to shut them down, as I would do if I were talking to that person face to face. We as progressive liberal Democrats have to take a different approach when it comes to that. And I think that with these reports that they need to come out fighting. I just do, across the board. I'm hoping that that's what they're welling up to do. They need to have the same boldness and gravitas and strength that some of our senators had this week when it comes to the hearings. And Henry and I put together a couple that we think are appropriate in terms of how you handle these people. And I just feel like, and you guys may have heard some of them and you may not, and maybe you want to hear them again, but I wanted to talk about that as it relates to fighting. We have to be willing to doggone it fight. Punch a fool in the mouth, not literally, but with the words and the ideas and the intelligence. I heard someone say gosh, who sat in for Patty? Cominos. I heard somebody say that us liberals couldn't handle the conversation or couldn't hang with an intelligent conservative. Those two are like oil and water. An intelligent conservative, just because, I'll tell you someone that's an educated conservative. That guy Kennedy down in Louisiana. Yeah, and there's others that are educated but intelligent. I don't know about that. But anyhow, here's how you guys fight. This is how I want to see, in part, our folks start to fight. We've got a great clip from our own Tammy Duckworth. We're going to hit him with that. Can we, Henry? Is that good? All right.
What was your takeaway from the lengthy hearing today?
Well, my mind didn't change, and unfortunately, it further solidified my opinion that Mr. Hegseth is not qualified to be Secretary of Defense. He couldn't even answer some of my very basic questions about our alliances in the Indo-Pacific region, and he, made it clear that he'd never led an audit, for example, even though he says he wants to audit the Pentagon, and yet he'd never led an audit in any of the businesses that he ran before, and in fact, he so badly mismanaged the finances of the not-for-profits he ran that they had to bring in a forensic accountant to figure out what all did he mess up. And now this man wants to run an $825 billion budget.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta hit him squarely right between the eyes with this stuff, and not sit back and quote unquote take the heat. And one of the other things that I found really compelling about what we have to be doing is taking the conversation to. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again and again. Democrats, this time around, you need to be camped out. Please, y'all, be camped out at a microphone every single day, starting Monday. Camped out at a microphone to let the quote-unquote American people know that y'all are not asleep at the wheel when it comes to dealing with these fools. I beg of you to please. For those of us who, so let me put it this way, humbly. If members of the House of Representatives, whether they be, if members of the House of Representatives that are Democrats and members of the Senate that are Democrats are listening, or if members of your staff are listening, please let it be known that you all will be at the microphone to talk about what you're doing and how you're pushing back against the craziness that's going to come from the right. On a state level, and we're going to talk about this with our guest later in the show, please fight forward Don't fight from your heel, from the back, off your back foot. Fight off your front foot, which means taking the fight to them. And that's why I like this clip that Henry and I put together from House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and what he had to say in that space.
We're willing as House Democrats to find bipartisan common ground with the incoming administration and our Republican colleagues on any issue whenever and wherever possible in order to make life better for the American people, particularly as it relates to driving down the high cost of living. But at the same period of time, it appears that our Republican colleagues aren't really serious about lowering housing costs. They're not serious about lowering child care costs. They certainly are not serious about lowering health care costs or bringing down the cost of groceries. We've not seen a single plan since the election. What they do want to do, Chris, is to pass massive tax breaks for billionaires and wealthy corporations, and then they want working families and middle-class folks and the poor, the sick, and the afflicted to pay for it, saddle us with trillions of dollars of debt, and at the same time cut things like Medicaid or nutritional assistance for children and families and veterans benefits. We're not going to tolerate it. The votes will not be there for this type of scheme on the Democratic side. And we believe that we're going to have to take this fight to the public domain, make sure we can win the battle for public sentiment. And the reality is, if we're successful in that endeavor, then I don't believe with their narrow Republican margin, they can pass anything close to what is being discussed by the Speaker or by House Republicans.
And my fingers are crossed that the Dems are going to hold the line in that conversation. Yeah, where there will be, if there will be, is maybe what I would like to say to Minority Leader Jeffries. If there is, when there is, I'm with him. I'm with him. He's being optimistic, and, as a leader, he has to be that way and has to be forward thinking. At the same time, he's got to be willing to drop the hammer and say, no, we're not going for this. In the vote, when there's a vote where it is going to be a simple majority, where it's a party line vote, and we know they're going to be one or two votes off, and damn, I'm upset that we didn't flip the House, because that would be such a check on the next 2 years. And so, I'm not going to get too deep into that right now, but Representative Jeffries, Minority Leader Jeffries, we know there's going to be straight party line votes where it's going to be the max number, and you aren't going to be able to do anything about it because some of the votes are going to be that way. Part of what I think they have to be willing to do, though, is to peel off a couple of members of the House by saying, listen, we have enough votes to block this and keep it from being detrimental to the American people, and go to those members of the House of Representatives from a strategic standpoint. They should be thinking now. Henry and I were sitting there. It was me and him. I'd be like, Henry, who is it in the Republican Party in the House right now that we need to curry some favor with? The hard heads, forget them. But the ones who we know are in tough districts, the ones that we know where there are opportunities, we need to get with them. That's how I'd be approaching it. Now, I'm not the minority leader or member of the House of Representatives, but I can damn sure tell you, Henry and I would be sitting, having a cigar and a glass of wine going, okay, who we're going after, and let's get after them now. Because that's how we're going to be able to maintain some of the we need to let them know, you think they're going to come after you, we're going to come after you even stronger. That's how we would play the game. That's how Eric, Grant, Henry, and myself would be playing the game. We'd be going after them that way. But that's me. All right, y'all. We're going to take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views. When we come back, we will get your calls, I promise.
It's Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, guys. Welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Let's go to Jennifer. Hey, Jennifer, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Richard. So happy to talk to you.
You too. What's going on?
Well, first of all, since you brought it up, I just want to say that I completely support Michelle Obama because, I mean, I've had it with these people just kissing up to Donald Trump, and he's such a foul person. I mean, she has always taught us, to take the high road and, more or less just to do what's right in God's eyes, I think. But there's lines. There's a line here. He's responsible for so many people's deaths. He's a bigot. He's a narcissist. He's a terrorist in my mind. And he's a criminal. And he's a rapist. And it's like she knows better. She's like showing the example of truth, and that's what your show is. That's the rock. That's your foundation. Is like not just truth, but be true to yourself. Don't bend to people who are insane and horrible. It's just common sense.
Jennifer, you had to let that well up in your mouth. I could feel it. You were like, you had something else you wanted to say, but you cleaned it up like Michelle Obama has done in keeping it clean. I applaud that in you.
But I also wanted to get your take because, I mean, you really calm me down every morning on my commute. To me, you're just like the progressive voice of reason.
Thank you.
And also a great teacher as far as just how to live, the right way to live. Like your parents, I mean, they are so right on. I love to hear your stories about what they had to say about things. But, this whole thing Monday has got me scared, and I'm a worst-case scenario kind of a person. And I always think, what if these fools shut down any kind of media that doesn't, stroke them? And I know this is such a crazy, stupid question, but do you have a plan B?
You mean me personally, or do you mean the station at large, or both?
Kind of both. Like, how can we stay in touch? How can we all of you and all the listeners stay in touch should something that dark happen?
Well, first of all, this is the first thing I want to address is I want you to I know you're driving, but I want you to take a deep breath on this, okay? And I appreciate what you said about me, about the work that I'm doing here, and my mother and father probably just high-fived each other. And at the same time, my older sisters and my aunties and my uncles also have a lot to do with that. I'm a product, gladly to say, of the many shoulders that I stand on. And even my colleagues, even my friends, they keep me in check. I'm being straight up with you and saying that, Jennifer, because that's what we should be doing as a community, is keeping each other propped up and keeping each other strong. So what I'm going to say to you in that space is, from this point forward, to the best of your God-given ability, I want you to remember that you don't have to be one that looks at it from a negative perspective. Don't choose that route. And I'm not being critical of you. Please hear me in saying that. Put a spin on it in your own mind. It says, listen, no matter what they bring to me or at me, I got this. And I've got people to talk to. I've got people to lean into. I've got an ally group in a community of folks that support me, that believe in me. It may start with your family. It may start with your friends, the network of friends. This show may be part of it. And I'm grateful that you said that, or words of that kind. That's where it starts, is you draw the line in the sand on yourself and say, no, I'm not going to let them rob my joy, rob my optimism, because they're going to try. Just because they try, Jennifer, doesn't mean that they get away with it. And to that end, coming to your question about the media and what we do, they're not going to shut down. They're going to talk a bunch of trash for a president. And this is where I want anybody in the country or the world that's listening or watching to hear this. We are not going to allow a president and or this current administration to shut down media. The hellstorm that comes from trying to do that isn't going to happen because, and I say this, people will go, well, Richard, how do you know? The reason that I know, or how do I know, is because there is a little bit of thing in the Constitution that doesn't allow it to happen. The president can't, from an executive order, shut down a media entity because if that business is a private or public-owned business, they have to go through the steps of proving what that business did that was wrong, and they have to do it in court. They can't just walk into a particular place and say, we're shutting you down because you said something about the president that we don't like. Now, I'm not one to talk about anarchy and all the other crazy things that come behind that.
No.
But that's the kind of stuff that is, I mean, I've said this before. The reason I tell everybody to take a deep breath and make your life count is because it's a way for all of us to pause and go, what can I do to fight? Mm-hmm. What can I do? Let me stop and think. Let me take a deep breath and let me think about what I can do to take action. I mean, honestly, I'm not worried per se about them taking away the voices of media, all forms of. These are a bunch of big, loudmouth bullies that are running around wagging their you-know-what, trying to get people to be fearful of them because fear is what stops people from fighting. They want us to say, oh, my God, I can't do anything. Oh, they're going to come get me. They're going to come do this. They want people to be in fear and in peril and in anxiety. I got a text from one of my relatives that said, when I made the comment earlier about driving a truck through it, the text that was sent to me said, drive that truck at full speed. We have to drive our truck. And see, it made you laugh. So kudos to my relative that sent that to me, to my brother-in-law. We're going to drive the truck full speed at them. And if they come at us, we have to be prepared to stand up on the gas pedal. Mm-hmm. And I mean that. We're way past, Jennifer, being kind and nice to them. Michelle Obama is taking the high road in one way, but I'm going to say this and make you laugh, and then I'm going to let you go with the big Richard Chew hug. The other reason Michelle Obama isn't showing up is because Michelle Obama is from the south side of Chicago. Uh-huh. And I'm trying to be clean and respectful in saying this. I think Michelle is also not showing up because she doesn't want to go to jail for slapping the you-know-what out of somebody.
Oh, okay.
And I'm being I'm doing my dead level best to be respectful to everybody. Michelle Obama is also saying I'm not going to go there because somebody might get their feelings hurt. Let's put it in that vein. And I applaud her for that and the decorum and all that it takes to say I'm not going. So I want you to embrace that. And this weekend, as you're dealing with all of this, just keep Michelle Obama's face bright and pretty in your mind as someone that stands in the void and says, no, I'm not going to take it. And also Vice President Harris, two strong black women that are saying no. And go find some clips of Jasmine Crockett and glean some energy from her. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
All right, Jennifer. We got you. We got you. All right.
And I'm not watching the inauguration.
No, don't. Go watch an old black and white movie. Go watch something fun. You know, that's what you do. Right. All right. Be well, Jennifer. Right. Thank you for your call and thank you for your contribution.
Have a great weekend.
I will. You too. All right. Bye now. Yeah, guys, listen. Nope. Not going to happen. Nobody's taking the fight away from us. And what we have to remember that we have to do is to take the fight to them. And kudos to my brother-in-law who sent me this text this morning that said, drive it at full speed. He is spot on, y'all. Drive the truck at full speed. And if they come at us, stand up on the gas pedal. That's what we have to do. You know, I think listen, I punched a few bullies literally in my lifetime. I've gotten after some folks who tried to bully their way. I think I told you guys about last year when we were at the McHenry County event for Democratic women, and Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton was there, and Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky were there, and some bullies showed up. And I'm not being sexist in saying this. They knew that they had an opportunity to come after some women. There were 8 guys that were there that were attending this women's event. When the bullies decided they were going to act a fool, I made it clear that I'm not one of the guys that's going to sit back and let you do what you're trying to do, which is bully these women. Now, I'm not trying to be some bravado guy. Don't take that the wrong way, anybody. All I'm saying is we drive the truck at full speed. We stand up to the bullies that are going to try to come at us. And I've been asking everybody for months now, certainly the last 2 months, drive a steel piece of iron. That's kind of two different things. Drive a piece of steel in your spine. Okay? Right now. And that goes out to all of us. I love it. I got to figure out a meme of this. Drive the truck at full speed. All right, guys. Jennifer, you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. Trust me. You're going to be all right. And most of you guys who are feeling some of the same stuff she's feeling, you're going to be all right, too. Trust me on that. All right, we're going to take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu on WCPT 820 AM, where facts matter. Take it away, Richard.
Hey, guys, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. It is Friday, January 17th, and we are here, guys. Listen, make your way over to heartlandsignal.com, our digital platform, and as always, lots of great stuff there. Here are some of the highlights in terms of the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Candidate Susan Crawford talks about elections, her life story with Patty Vasquez. You guys want to check that out. It's a great interview. Also, once again, Ohio's GOP is just making fools of themselves, and they're commending confusing citizens to save gerrymandering. Not such a bad strategy. That's y'all's Republican Party. Our great governor, as I said the other day, J.P. Pritzker, responded to the Indiana General Assembly's considering a bill to encourage Illinois counties to secede. You could see the smirk on his face as he shut that down. And we have a lot of other great clips at Heartland Signal on X at heartlandsignal.com. Make your way over there to catch all of that good stuff and pass it on to those that you care about and those that you love. Henry, we had a nice text that came from one of our folks that said, please suggest Jennifer connect with her, quote, tribe and organizations like Occupy. Join or start a group like Karen in Chicago. Thank you, Jennifer D. And oh, by the way, guess who's here?
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Like how I did that, right?
I do. It's like you know what you're doing.
Well, I try.
Something, you know?
Welcome to the show, KB.
Oh, thanks for having me back in.
You're welcome. Guys, we have Karen Byrne from True Blue Politics podcast, and she's hanging with us this morning, and we're going to chop it up as we do, and glad you could be with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple of clips that I want to play. Henry just put one together for us that oftentimes you hear me talk about. And then this was earlier, one of the pieces earlier in the show that I talked about in terms of our media. And I'm happy that LeBron and Maverick Carter are looking at this, a challenge to the NBA league. And I said, we need to create our own media. Forget about trying to change the current media that's in place. That's like I said, catching the speeding train is hard as hell. You get your arm ripped off. Let's go create our own. Let's create our own stuff and draw people and bring people to that. Whether it be the, quote, mainstream type of media or it be social and all the above. Let's do that, what Jennifer Rubin's doing, that kind of thing. So to that end, part of that, the reason that so many of us, and Karen has been one that leans into this really hard about what the mainstream media has done and has not done, right, is how we got here. And Lord, let me tell you, there's a clip that we found that just nails this. And it's coming from a conversation surrounding the DNC's sort of chair meetings that they're having right now. And Henry's put this together. I want you guys to hear the energy that comes from one of the gentlemen that was on the dais.
Show of hands. Does anyone disagree with Ms. Williamson on her point about the process? Does anyone on the stage disagree with Ms. Williamson about the process? Mr. Paul.
Our problem is we trusted you all. Your job was to inform the American people about what was going on in this country. But instead of informing the American people about what's going on in this country, you asked the same kind of gotcha questions that I am so sick and tired of hearing from journalists in this country. Joe Biden did a good job as president. He got good things done. And none of you ever said it because you wanted to ask, what's wrong with Joe Biden today? What's wrong with Joe Biden today? What's wrong with Joe Biden today? And because the media didn't inform the American people about what was going on, it became impossible for us to get any message out. And because we couldn't get any message out, nobody knew what we did, and that's why we lost the damn election. It is your people's fault, and I'm sick of it. I'm sorry.
We could put that on a loop, y'all. And so anybody
That's my new ringtone.
There it is. I was waiting for I said, thank you, Lord. Sometimes you just get blessed with things that make your conversations just good. And I when I saw this, and thank God for Henry reminding me of it, I thought Karen's going to love this. Right? Anybody that wants that clip, just email me.
I want that clip.
I know I'm a little bit behind on emails, y'all, so I apologize, but I will get it to you. That's what you want to play for people who want to say anything that's contrary about our conversations in terms of the mainstream media. He nailed it.
Oh.
Not one thing that he say was incorrect.
No lies detected there.
Right?
That was spot on. Absolutely. That was like speaking from my soul.
That came from and he's a full-size guy. That came from the bottom of his belly.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's going to be my ringtone. That's going to be what I wake up to in the morning, because that is the kind of fight and that is the kind of honesty that we need to hear, and righteous indignation and criticism of the media, because they absolutely, I mean, the Republicans do what the Republicans do. They've been doing this for decades, okay? So, and I'm not going to, I have always said, Donald Trump did not change the party. He revealed them.
Yep.
But the mainstream media has utterly failed each and every one of us.
Yep. He nailed it. I mean, I darn near stood up and saluted him when I first saw the video and heard the clip. I was like, oh, that's and here's the thing. This is for some that might think, well, you guys are placing blame and not taking responsibility for what the Democrats didn't do and how Kamala should have done this and Joe should have left the election early and all that garbage.
Right.
Where were those mainstream media voices that, like he just said, he just nailed it. He said Joe Biden would do something great, and you would ask, what's wrong with Joe Biden? And that's exactly,
absolutely,
precisely what happened, y'all. Mm-hmm. And just in the conversation, I mean, who in the hell in the mainstream media asked a sitting vice president, but in this particular case, a black woman sitting vice president, are you black enough?
God.
I know. See? Don't make you curse. What media says that?
Our media.
Why would they even have brought it to her to have to address? There wasn't one black woman journalist that asked Vice President Harris that question. They were all white male or female journalists that asked that question. So, she's nice, but I would have said, I don't know, are you white enough?
Thank you.
I mean, show me your white card.
Right.
And hear this, guys. That's how Dems need to fight going forward. They need to come to the mic like that gentleman did, and they need to ask the question in the reverse. So when there's stupid questions asked, they need to be responded with a legitimately balanced question like, I don't know, are you da-da-da-da-da?
Right.
A fight that way. So anyhow.
We have got to be ruthless in the way we speak about these things and the way we challenge people. And, you were talking earlier about the inauguration. And if I can just say this, we always hear, the reason not to do something is because it'll set a precedent. And if we do it, then they're going to do it. Okay. As far as attending the inauguration, I don't know how you feel about it. I don't think any of them should show up.
I agree.
I don't think any of them should show up. And if you want to talk about precedent being set, Donald Trump set the precedent the last election. Okay, so you want to win the hearts and minds? the Democratic Party, you want to win in leadership, they should not show up.
And it's so funny. This is scary sometimes how so many of us are thinking the same thing. We just don't always have we don't say it when we need to or want to. I literally said, I hope to Jesus and Allah and Buddha and all the rest, so nobody get offended, that they're quietly not going to show up. I would just laugh my behind off if President Biden said, "Nah, I ain't going."
Or turn your back. Turn your backs.
I would if half the dais is empty, with no Democratic elected officials, including President Biden. Now, I know that President Biden is always about decorum and always about respecting the tradition. Mm-hmm. He's been doing this for a long time, so I get it.
I would give him a pass.
And I respect him for that. He's still the standard bearer currently. He and, frankly, President Obama and Bill Clinton. Mm-hmm. They're the standard bearers in terms of that. Mm-hmm. But I would love it to death.
Be like Michelle Obama.
None of them,
that's my mantra.
They all said, "Nah, we ain't going. We're going to stay at home. We're going to go have our own lunch." And that would be like Maxine Waters.
Yeah,
I know.
Right? Be like, I mean, seriously. The time has passed for us to sit there and we have to have decorum. We have to, be civil, whatever. F these MFers. I'm done being civil. I am done. No.
What's the game?
What do we get for it? Nothing.
Do we get for it? Other than further frustration about, wow, that didn't work.
Exactly.
Being nice didn't work. Being kind didn't work. And that goes to this conversation then goes to what Michael Steele so adeptly did on Morning Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Michael have not been down on everything, but we're getting closer. But my God, Joe Scarborough realized, and I'm just going to say it because it's my truth. He realized that was a black man buzzsaw that he was not going to be able to throw garbage at and not get it swatted back. And I guess I said a black man because Michael Steele is one. Mm-hmm. And part of that vim and vigor that he was giving back to Joe was about, I'm not going to take it.
No.
I'm not going to take this BS about civility.
No.
He gave it to him in chapter and verse appropriateness, which is, your boy started it.
Right.
1, 2, you're not going to get me, and why should you ask anybody to be kind to someone that's stabbing you?
Right.
Why would you be kind to that person? You're going to stab them back, or you're going to walk the hell away.
Right.
And that's the street version of what Michael Steele was saying.
Well, and we look at the C-suite decisions, at MSNBC to, after Joe the talking meat puppet and Mika Know Your Place Brzezinski gave Donald Trump free airtime and allowed him to come on their show day after day and lie, call in, not even show up, call in.
Yep.
Okay. And then what do they do to reward them just because Donald Trump got mad at them and, started verbally attacking them? They gave him extra time.
I know.
Come on now. That is absolutely astonishing to me. And we should have been up in arms about that even back then.
Well, and here's the thing where Joe is Joe is a punk. I dare somebody to say what Donald Trump said about Mika Brzezinski, about my wife.
Right.
Somebody's going to jail and somebody's going to the hospital. Mm-hmm. I'm going to pull the line from Untouchables from Sean Connery, the late Sean Connery.
Somebody's going to get clumsy.
The Chicago way.
Yeah, somebody's going to get clumsy. Somebody's going to get a bag of Vipers.
I dare somebody to say something like that about my wife.
There's
or about
some broken glass.
Any woman that I care about in my family and friend network. Somebody's getting, the side of meat on them. And Joe just went along with it. So to your point, and this is where I'm sure Michael Steele was sitting there going, look, man, you're going to come after me about civility, and you're the dude that let another guy talk trash about your wife.
Right.
So I know in the back of Michael's mind, he's thinking that.
Well,
but
yeah, and it's like all the alpha males, let's see, Ted Cruz allowing Donald Trump to get away with talking about his wife,
his father and his wife.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's such alphas. It's just.
Yeah. So to that end, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to hit you guys with a clip of how you handle a person who won't answer your question. 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
back to Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, guys, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Hey, if you guys are missing the YouTube stream, I apologize for that. We're doing our best, to kind of keep things right. So make sure you're catching us on Twitter stream, on Facebook Live, and, of course, go to the heartlandsignal.com website as well. So one of the clips I was talking about that we put together is from the hearings this week. And newly elected Senator Adam Schiff from California had a few things to say in the wake of questioning Pam Bondi, who's been, suggested as the next Attorney General. So, Henry, let's give it to him.
It also requires you, if you're going to be a good Attorney General, to be able to tell hard truths to the president. So my questions now are, can you tell hard truths to the president? So let me start with an easy truth that you could speak to the president. Can you tell him that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election? Can you say that? Do you have the independence to say that? Do you have the gravitas, the stature, the intestinal fortitude to say, Donald Trump, you lost the 2020 election? Can you tell us that here today?
Senator, what I can tell you is I will never play politics. You're trying to engage me in a gotcha. I won't do it. I won't play politics with any ongoing investigation.
So let me ask you another.
Like you did leaking your colleague Devin Nunes's memo.
If you can't answer the question, let me ask you a different, what should be a simple truth, not a hard one. Was there massive fraud affecting the result of the 2020 election, yes or no?
Senator, I'm glad you asked that question, if you'll let me answer what I saw in Pennsylvania.
No, I asked a simple question about massive fraud.
I can only tell you what I saw in Pennsylvania.
I know you want to answer a different question, but my question is, can you tell us whether there was massive fraud affecting the results of the 2020 election, yes or no? Was there or was there not?
I can tell you what I saw when I went as an advocate to the campaign.
That's not my question. So you can't answer that question. You can't speak that even easy truth to us, let alone to the president.
So I got a couple comments about it, and I'll let Karen take the wheel. Mm-hmm. My first comment is, Dems, that's how you do it. Mm-hmm. Y'all remember how Vice President Harris handled the Supreme Court justice hearings? That's how you do it. Mm-hmm. Take a lesson from that and keep that train running. Now, when she said this thing about, you're trying to ask me a gotcha question, and nope. And then she turned around. Yep. Did you hear it, Henry? Yeah. What did she do? She turned around and dropped the, quote, gotcha on Senator Schiff on this Devin Nunes thing. Mm-hmm. The exact thing that she said, you're trying to give me a gotcha question, she turned around and did the same damn thing. Mm-hmm. What I wish Senator Schiff, I got to get used to saying that, what I wish Senator Schiff had said when he said, you can't even answer the yes-no question. Right. I wish he would have tailed that off by saying and buttoned it up by saying, and that, for that reason right there, you are not qualified to be the Attorney General of the United States.
This is a job interview. I've got my job. Right. Okay. You're trying to get this job. Okay. You're not gonna throw questions at me. You're the one being interviewed here.
Get him, Karen.
Okay. So no, we don't play that. I mean, that is what Mehdi Hassan calls a gish gallop, right? Yep. And that is what the conservatives are so good at doing. And you know what? Absolutely. I mean, I'm not, Adam Schiff, I think, handled that, brilliantly. And he pointed out the fact that it's a yes or no question. It is a yes or it's a no. It is not, there's no needed context to it or anything.
Karen, what she could have said is, no, I didn't see any massive fraud. Yeah. This just goes to show how scripted they are. They sat down with the Orange Menace and they got their marching orders. What she could have said is, I didn't see any massive fraud. Answers the question. Right. I did see, this is what I saw in Pennsylvania. Right. And if she had done that, she would have, this is how we communicate. She would have probably endeared herself to Adam Schiff saying, potentially listening further. If she had said, I didn't see any massive fraud, which was his question.
Absence of a yes or a no.
There it is.
Right.
But they were scripted. Right. They bent the knee, and she bent it really bent the knee a lot. Right. With Donald to the tune of $25,000. That's another, we'll keep it clean. But, I mean, you're right. They are gish galloping. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word.
Yeah. That's what that is, and it's intended to throw the opponent off. And they're playing with some people that know how to debate
some prosecutors,
and prosecute the case. Okay, and again, this is an interview. Adam Schiff has the job. You're looking to get this job.
You don't ask me questions.
You don't get to ask me questions, and you answer the questions that I ask you.
If you can't answer, you're not qualified for the job.
And if it's an obvious, from all of us watching, if it's an obvious yes or it's an obvious no, anything other than or yes or no, when they go on that thing, it's what we think. It's exactly what we think.
It's the unasked question that you are actually opening yourself up to that being the answer. Mm-hmm. To keep it simple, guys, Dems, please, please, please come with that kind of vim and vigor from now until the end of time politically, because that's what has to happen.
And it may not change the result, but you know what? It's important for us to see them fighting like that.
That's what I think sometimes miss, is it's not – we know when the numbers are not in our favor as they are right now.
Right.
And this is what I will say to all of you, anybody listening anywhere in the country, this is what this means. It may not change. Well, let me. There's two ways I want to present this. The optics of it for leaders is it may not change the numbers when it comes to voting for someone to be in one of these positions, one of these administrative positions with this next presidency. It may not change the voting when it comes to a bill that comes to the floor of the House or the Senate. Here's what it's designed to do. It's designed to wake up. The pushback, the energy, fight is designed to let American citizens know that we got you.
Right.
That be damn the numbers we're going to fight. I said to John Barber yesterday, his election in Ohio was a narrow margin.
Right, 1.4%.
1.4%, something like that. Mm-hmm. And nationally, Kamala Harris's margin was in that same window. Mm-hmm. So for me, what that means is John's got damn near half of the voting group of people that came his way. Mm-hmm. Start with that base and let them know you're fighting 24/7. Right. The Dems have to recognize nationally we were that close, given all the garbage that was going on, not the fact that she only had 107 days and Joe should have left earlier, but all that other garbage like the gentleman spoke of from the DNC event. But that's the Democratic consumer needs to see that the Democratic leaders are fighting no matter what. They are pushing back no matter what in all venues 24/7, which is why I keep saying, please, y'all, those who are elected officials on all levels, come to the mic.
That's right.
Every doggone day. I've said it to Mayor Johnson.
Yep.
You need to let folks know, because I've said to him, if you don't do that, people are going to fill in the void what they think you're doing or not doing.
Absolutely.
So you may as well get in front of the mic, start here, and tell everybody what you're doing.
And I don't care what reason people, the Democrats are going on to these shows, like, okay, these are the questions, this is the topic, that whatever. They need to, if there's good news, they need to directly, and I've said this before, tie it to President Biden and Kamala Harris and the accomplishments of the Democrats.
So let's do a role play. I'm going to be the a-hole journalist that comes at you with a question, and you give an example of what you're talking about. So,
okay.
So, Ms. Byrne, as an elected official of the Democratic Party, you've seen so many great things that have happened during this Trump administration in terms of how, we've seen unemployment go down and how we've seen...
That was Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
That's what we're talking about, because we got to go to a break. But that's the edited version. That's what the Dems have to do.
That's because of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. That's the infrastructure bill. That's the CHIPS Act.
And go to those... interviews prepared.
That's not Donald Trump. Donald Trump's a fool.
That's it. That's how you handle it. Listen, the people that are doing the interviewing aren't going to be prepared for that, so they're going to stumble. But that's how they're going to respond.
But
that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen, Karen Byrne.
Of course.
All right, guys, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be speaking with Representative Abdel Nasser Rashid, also known as Nas. 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to Choose Views with Richard Chu on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, guys. Welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Thanks so much for your text messages this morning. I appreciate the reminders and the questions, and I try to make sure that I can keep up with the things that you say. So I'm just trying to read these out loud. Thank you for from 310 in California, streaming on Heartland. Good comedy on your face when you say things. It's fun. I try to do my best. If it's serious, I try to have fun with it. And if it's not serious, I still try to have fun with it. So that way you guys can embrace some of the goodness. We are fortunate this morning to have one of our own here from Chicago and the great state of Illinois, Representative Abdel Nasser Rashid. Good morning, Representative. Welcome to Choose Views.
Good morning, Richard. Thanks so much for having me on.
My pleasure. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing all right.
You probably thawed out a little bit from the last 4 or 5 days, right?
Oh yeah, it's a huge relief to see it all melt right now.
Yeah, we know that we're from Chicago, so we know what it's going to be like. And every now and again, when we get a little bit of a break, we're always like, yes, that's great. I feel
that's right.
I don't have to put the big coat on today. I can put the medium one on. So
exactly.
Listen, Representative, you're doing the work, and we appreciate the hard work that you're putting in, and certainly representing your district. Take a moment. We have a specific thing we want to talk about with regard to some recent legislation that you've been a champion of. But talk a little bit about the 21st District and what that represents in terms of geography in the state of Illinois.
Absolutely. So I was first elected to the Illinois legislature in 2022, becoming the first Palestinian-American legislator and one of two Muslims. I'm very proud to represent the 21st District, which is a very diverse district. It goes from Berwyn to Bridgeview, west to LaGrange Park and Countryside, and has some of the southwest side of the city, parts of the Garfield Ridge neighborhood. I have a very large Latino population. I have a historic black population in Summit, Illinois, where Mamie Till Mobley lived part of her life, the mother of Emmett Till, and a Palestinian and Arab and Muslim population as well. So it's a beautiful district, and I couldn't be I'm so proud to represent it.
And how cool it is that a man of your faith, stature, background, ethnicity is representing a diverse community of folks, which is just, that's the America that I want to live in. And that's the America or the district that you're representing. So kudos to you for having been elected, and also kudos for the work that you're doing. I'm going to get right to it because the legislation with regard to this most recent Karina's bill is incredibly important, and I'd like you to talk about that if you could for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. So we have a serious issue in our country and in our state where abusers, domestic abusers, have unfortunately time and time again gone to kill their ex-partner, and even if there was a order of protection against them, there was no real mechanism to confiscate their firearms. And so what we did is we're protecting victims of domestic abuse. We're protecting so many women and children by finally passing a law that will bar domestic abusers from owning firearms, and that provides a mechanism for police to confiscate those firearms. So long overdue. In fact, just last night, I was reading another story about a woman who was killed by her ex. She had 2 children. She had a order of protection against him. She got it in December. Yet he went and killed her. He then killed himself. And now I believe the story said she had 2 children. Now they're left without a mother. And so this bill couldn't have come any sooner. And I'm very excited for the governor to sign it into law.
Well, I have to tell you, I'm proud of that. We have with us in the studio today my good friend Karen Byrne, who was cheering when you were talking about the district and all that.
So I'm right next to his. I'm literally right next to his.
And she's a big advocate of this conversation in terms of protecting those who have been a victim of any sort of violence. Can you tell us a little bit about I guess the word I'm going to use is the motivator, the thing that you said, okay, enough is enough. I've got to lean into this and get this done. What was the thing that was and I use a word, I'm not going to use the word that I'm thinking, but what was the thing that said, all right, enough's enough?
Yeah. Well, let me say first that Representative Maura Hershauer has been championing this and championing taking on gun violence for a very long time, and very, very proud to work alongside her. And I give her and advocates so much credit for having negotiated this bill and gotten it over the finish line. For me, this became especially personal when one of my constituents, Adriana Lopez, was killed by her ex-boyfriend. She lived in Garfield Ridge, and her ex, unfortunately, shot her 10 times, and that hit close to home, having one of my own constituents being killed. And so I leaned in on it at that time.
So Karina's bill requires that firearms must be surrendered or confiscated. Is that correct? Is it 14 days? Talk us through a little bit about some of the nuances of the bill.
Yeah, so when there's an order of protection that's granted by a judge, the police have a certain amount of time the firearm owner is supposed to who loses their FOID card temporarily, and they're supposed to hand in their gun. And if they do not, then the police have a mechanism to get a search warrant and to be able to confiscate that gun and place it with a third party, because it's possible that order of protection would be lifted. And so it does provide that protection that's needed around the time an order of protection is granted, which is some of the most vulnerable time for many of these women. So it's now under existing state law before this bill, you already were supposed to lose your firearm, but there was no mechanism to enforce it. And after negotiations with law enforcement, this bill finally puts that in place.
Man, it's so. I guess when I think about this, one of the first things that comes to mind is here in Illinois, more specifically in Chicago, we've gotten the label largely from mainstream media that, this is the wild, wild west in Illinois and in Chicago, and guns and shootings and, all that. I know you know it as a legislator. I know you know it as a citizen. But am I correct in the number of domestic violence? Not to say that other violence is not measurable and important to talk about, but domestic violence shootings have almost doubled in the last 4 years. Am I wrong about that?
I haven't seen that specific number, but I know they've gone up. I know they've definitely gone up dramatically, including after COVID. And just looking at the headlines, it breaks my heart every single time I see another headline. And unfortunately, literally last night, there was yet another one that says a woman killed by her ex. And many times, not always, but many times, she had an order of protection against him. And so it's so heartbreaking. And she and her family would be warning about would be sharing their fear. The woman who I read about yesterday, her mom said she was scared for her life. Right.
This is the mother of the woman who was killed.
The mother of the woman who was killed. Yes, she said she for the last month she's been afraid that her ex is going to come and do something. God, that's an order of protection is supposed to protect you. Mm-hmm. But when they have a gun, they don't care about the order of protection. These things, unfortunately, have been happening over and over again. So, like I said, I think this has been long overdue, and very eager to see the governor's signature on the bill, which I do expect will happen soon.
What are the when we talk about guns in Illinois, guns in Chicago? How is law enforcement when it comes to this bill, and what are their thoughts? Or were they part of your conversation in helping getting this bill passed?
Yeah, so I know that Representative Hirschauer, who did lead the negotiations on this bill, was in communication with law enforcement. So they were a part of the negotiations to get the bill right. They were neutral on the bill. And the other thing, of course, is that the Supreme Court ruled last summer, I believe, that firearms, that domestic abusers could be stripped of their firearms. So there was also some legal precedent that this would survive any kind of constitutional challenge. As you can imagine, groups like the NRA are saying, "Oh, well, this violates the First Amendment." Well, no, the Supreme Court ruled that we can deny domestic abusers from owning firearms precisely because of what we just talking about. The number of people who end up being killed by their acts is astronomically high, and this is one common sense way to do it. One common sense measure that we can take, and one really important way that we can protect victims of domestic abuse.
Yeah, and so in that space, all right, talking about Supreme Court and talking about law enforcement, Illinois, as once again, because of good legislators like you, Representative Rashid, are taking the lead on something that this is local. This is Illinois. This is the city of Chicago and all the rest. But this is a national issue. This is not just, and this is what I love about our legislators like you and many others. We don't have to agree on everything. We're not going to, and neither should we. But doggone it, Illinois is leading. The governor you probably saw this, the Indiana General Assembly is saying, hey, how about some counties from Illinois come over and secede to us? So you're laughing. And the governor stepped up and said, that ain't going to happen. We keep leading. And that's why I love what you and your colleagues are doing. This is a national concern. Talk about that if you can, and us leading as Illinoisans.
Absolutely. And so, one of the things about gun policy is a patchwork of laws by the states is going to create opportunity loopholes, right? We know that guns flow into Illinois from other states where they have lax gun control laws, particularly from Indiana, and that leaves our communities here in Illinois vulnerable. We do need federal legislation. We need universal background checks. We need a range of other common sense gun reforms at the national level because there's, of course, only so much Illinois can do, and we will do everything in our power to protect our communities. But when guns are flowing in from states that have virtually no restrictions on who can own a gun and how easily you can get your hands on one, it leaves our communities vulnerable right here in Illinois. So you are spot on. This is a federal issue. We need Congress and the White House to take action. Unfortunately, the chances of that are pretty dim. But that is an absolute necessity if we want to actually resolve this issue. Our country stands out in all the wrong ways in terms of the amount of gun violence and the number of guns that are on the streets, and so we got to get that under control through federal legislation.
Well, listen, Representative Rashid, the thing I will tell you, again, I like giving out kudos to folks when they're doing the work and when they're not doing the work that we think they could be doing, encouraging them to move in a different direction. And in this space, you're getting the flowers because you and your co-sponsors of the bill have done the work to get this to the governor's desk. And I'm like you, I hope that he goes ahead and gets it signed because it will help to set a precedent on an issue that's a national issue. And because of the connectivity of states, like you just said about Indiana and the guns and all the rest that we know about, it's important. So thank you so much for being one of the leaders in this space. I know you've got a lot of other things that you're working on. I hope you'll be willing to come back and talk about this and others that you've got. I know AI is a big one for you, and maybe we can have a conversation about that in the near future.
I would love to. Thank you again for having me on. Really appreciate it.
So let's stay in touch, and we appreciate your hard work. Stay strong this weekend. I know we're all bracing ourselves for next Monday, but when we have leadership like you here in the state of Illinois, it does make it a little bit easier. So thank you for your hard work.
Thank you, Richard.
Thanks for being with us. Have a great day. All right, guys. Representative Abdel Nasser Rashid, Follow him, guys. He's doing the work. We talk about Dems working harder, working differently, fighting. He's one of those folks. Mm-hmm. And so those of you who are listening anywhere in the country, this is an example. This is a national issue that Illinois is taking the lead on. We do that.
Yes, we do.
We get called out.
And we're going to need our state reps.
We're going to need that.
Even more now. We're going to need our leadership in this state. And, yeah, I mean, I really appreciate that conversation. And I just want to know, and I don't know if it's been done, Richard, in any of your conversations with any of the state reps, why can't Illinois wage a class action lawsuit against these surrounding states?
It's not that we can't. I mean, we
really,
we could, and
I think we should, and especially if in the absence of any kind of like federal government legislation, because now we don't have the three branches, right?
Well, here's what I would love to see, and this is, with Indiana taking it to their General Assembly and saying, hey, we'd like to, propose this bill to say that Illinois County, some should secede. This is how I'd love to see the pushback on that. Say, okay, well, if y'all want to play that way, we are going to file that. We're going to file a class action lawsuit against counties that we know the data is out there. Ironically, some of it's been found through the NRA, going back to Representative Rashid's commentary on the gun proliferation.
That's right.
And the malfeasance is the word that I would use. And in terms of standing, we have the standing because our citizens are being impacted by.
That's right.
It will be no different in my mind, from what I know about the law, that if there were a water table in Lake Station, Indiana, or at anywhere near the Illinois-Indiana border that was seeping into communities in Illinois, we would have standing to go after that organization, that company, that jurisdiction for that malfeasance.
That's right.
And I think the same thing could be applied when it comes to the guns and the proliferation. And I know that some people are going to say, yeah, but Richard, come on, Chew, Second Amendment. Blah. Go kick rocks. Go kick rocks. I'm tired of the people punking out and hiding behind the Second Amendment. Well, we can't, we get my guns. Look, you're lucky. I didn't get elected to president. I would come and be.
Give me your guns.
Give me your guns. People are dying because of your guns. It's that's one of our biggest national security threats, y'all.
Absolutely,
is the misappropriation of the language behind the Second Amendment. That's one of our biggest national security issues.
That's right.
And you gun lovers out there, bring it on. I'd love to have the conversation with you about it. That being said, we're going to take a tiny little break.
Teeny tiny.
And then we're going to come back and we're going to wrap up today's show. 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, guys, welcome back to Choose Views. A shout out to my man Al for recommending Indivisible, Mobilize. And also make sure, going back to Jennifer's concerns earlier, Jennifer, reach out to me. I will send you the names of people who are doing stuff to keep folks strong.
Where is Jennifer?
She's here in Chicagoland area.
Well, tell her to give her my number.
I will. Jennifer, if you're listening still, send me an email and I'll connect you with Karen so you guys can walk together and hang out.
Yeah.
And she can at least give you some other ideas. But the key to that conversation earlier with her was making sure that people are staying connected. And I appreciate Jennifer D. for reaching out to me by text to say what we should be doing in that space. And yes, guys, make sure there's a blackout on Monday. Don't be watching the inauguration. Go watch an old, if you're going to have the television on, go watch an old black and white movie or find your favorite comedy series and watch that. Pull up Sanford and Son, pull up Friends, pull up whatever it is you watch, but don't watch the inauguration. There's no need to. There's a criminal that's going to be occupying our White House. There is no need for you to give him and his cronies any favor. Right, Karen?
That's right. I'm going to be at the dentist, and then I'm going to try and go to the Greater
Chicago Food Depository.
Yes, thank you.
It's a lot of words. I know.
I know. It's a lot of words, and it's not even 8 o'clock.
That's all right. Well, I totally understand.
I've met my quota of words.
Oh, goodness gracious. Guys, part of the how do I want to say this? There are a lot of people right now who are concerned, and this is the show before Monday's show. And I don't want to say the last show. That's negative wording. This is the show before Monday's show, and Monday's the day of inauguration and also the celebration of the late Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday. And I know that, and by the way, if you wanted something to do on Monday, check with if you are a church-going person or a service-going person to any faith. I don't want to just talk about Christianity, but the Muslim faith, the Buddhist faith, all the rest. So don't nobody get upset with me. Hang out at your church. Mm-hmm. Hang out with the folks in your faith that are, listen, be with like-minded folks. That's what I'm going to tell you to do on Monday. Be with like-minded folks. Yes, we are coming up on a tectonic shift in how our federal government is going to operate. Ain't no getting away from that. I'm not trying to sugarcoat, and neither have I been trying to sugarcoat. I've just been trying to say, listen, the way to deal with this is to prepare yourself. And Karen's got a great quote that she read earlier that I want to let her read and talk about.
So basically, it's very simple. Don't be afraid. Be prepared.
Yep. On all fronts.
Yep. And so, and what I'm doing, and, we talked about this a little bit, Richard, we're all going to have bad days. We're all going to have challenges in our personal lives. And then there's going to be some terrible breaking news about what this, felon 47 and his band of idiots are going to be trying to inflict on us, right? So the pain. So we have to be ready for that. And we just have to take a step back. If you're feeling a certain kind of way, take a step back. Take care of yourself. That is the most important thing. If you need to reach out and talk to somebody, don't isolate. Do self-care, pray, meditate, do some yoga, go out and take a walk outside, touch grass, and, just
do not isolate.
Do not isolate. And just know that there are still more of us than them. Donald Trump, again, he won the popular vote between he and Kamala Harris by a percentage point. Okay, we have to remember that, and like you said, that is not a mandate. He didn't win the plurality.
No.
The majority of Americans did not vote for this man. Yes. And we need to remember that, and we need to bring that out. If any of your right-wing relatives or friends, if you're still talking to them, if any of them try and pull that, with you, that Donald Trump, America spoke and half of America. No, half of America did not vote for Donald Trump.
And really a mandate would just, if you talk to the math heads out there, not just election math, but a mandate would be a measure that tilts the scale. This is a near about balanced scale. And listen, I'm not trying to sugarcoat what happened. Don't anybody take this the wrong way. But a mandate would be 60-40. Mm-hmm. 70-30.
When 90 million voters stay home?
That ain't a mandate. Come on, y'all.
Now, that's a conversation, and that's something that needs to be worked on.
Democratic leadership has to spend its time not trying to convince the 78 million to vote for us. Mm-hmm. They need to work and energize the 90 million folks that didn't vote.
That's right. That's right, and that's by showing some fight and differentiating yourself from the other side.
Eric says this all the time on the family meeting. Give people a reason to vote for you and your policies and your ideas rather than just against the other.
That's right.
Because that's more long-lasting. That's more sustainable. That's got more roots to it. Here's why I'm voting for. And so when people will say to me things like, well, Richard, you're one of those Democratic shills and you're just buying the party line. No, I'm not. Here's what I vote for. If I take the color of my skin out of the equation for a minute, I vote for making sure that women like Karen, women like my wife, women like my sister, women like my aunties don't have stupid stuff come their way. Mm-hmm. I vote for trans children being able to live without being bothered by bullies.
That's right.
I vote for us not wrecking our environment so that we don't have a place to live that the good Lord gave us, if you believe in that. I vote for that rather than against that. Right. And the list goes on. So if someone thinks that that's voting and being a shill for, okay, have your way.
Yeah,
Karen.
And our Democratic leadership, to anybody listening out there, We need to see you fight. If you want us to fight, because we've been out here fighting, okay? We're going to fight, but you have to give us something to fight for.
Yep.
Okay? And we need to know that you guys are fighting, too.
Every day.
And I'm going to say this last request, President Biden, please publish the ERA.
Yes. That's right.
Because I haven't heard anything about that.
I know.
Now come on.
You got the weekend.
On. Women, hello, we have just been put into the shadows and made second-class citizens in the last several years here, and we need to see our leadership, too, stand up for us. Yep. The ERA is there. It's been ratified. It needs to be published. Get on it, President Biden, please.
Do it this weekend or do it Monday morning.
Please.
Right before the inauguration.
And call. Everybody call and tell them.
Yeah, do it now. It's still doable, President Biden.
Yes, it is.
Without a doubt. All right, guys, you all have been kind enough to hang out with us and listen to us today. And as always, I got to thank my good friend and colleague, Karen Byrne of True Blue Politics Podcast, y'all.
Oh.
Check it out. Listen, everybody have a good, safe weekend, okay? Stay motivated, stay sharp, stay focused, and always take a deep breath and make your life count. We'll see you next week.
Woosah.